Let's build up to that big London derby between Chelsea and Tottenham. Let's go off to Stamford Bridge and Jeff Shreves.
Yes, big London derby today. Chelsea, of course, 8 points ahead of Tottenham. But you would have to say, Gary Neville, that the visitors are the form team out of the two.
Yes, I think obviously they were bitterly disappointed last week that game was called off, and obviously got that unbelievable result in midweek against Leicester. They've got games in hand. They're in good form. They've got a manager with lots of experience. The players are obviously very different now in terms of the mentality than where they were at the earlier part of the season. And Chelsea, I've been disappointed with them the last couple of months, and I don't know whether they've talked themselves out of this title race in some ways in respect to just the negativity, the idea of trying to get games called off that weren't called off. But it feels like they're not just quite, well, they're certainly not quite where they were back in sort of what would be October, November, when I was really confident they were going to put up a big challenge.
Their challenge has certainly fallen away. They've drawn far too many games. How much of it would you say is down to the simple fact they're just not scoring enough goals?
The simple fact they're not scoring enough goals, and if you sign a player, we know that if you sign a massive player for a club and he's not playing well, obviously he did that interview a few weeks ago, which we don't need to talk about today, but it still has that little bit of a sort of feeling, that taste, if you like, that, you know, they've got a brilliant bench. I mean, the bench that they have when they play is unbelievable. The squad's fantastic. It's flawless in some ways, this squad. I cannot believe they don't score goals with what they have. And I had Lukaku down this season as the top scorer in the league. And I'm miles off it, and I can't believe I'm miles off it, because I just thought he would come back to here. I get why he didn't work at United. Went to Inter Milan, absolutely fantastic, and I just think Chelsea was made for him in terms of how Chelsea play. They're not a high-pressing team. They're not what would be a team that you would expect that, you know, would do anything other than play to Romelu Lukaku's strengths. And I still think this season he'll score a lot of goals, but he needs to start today.
And in contrast, how impressed have you been with not just the turnaround under Antonio Conte at Spurs, haven't lost in 9, but the turnaround in form of Harry Kane? Everything about him, the goals, his body language, his demeanour.
I'm not surprised by Harry Kane. I've said in the past that Harry Kane's gold. And I get criticised quite a lot on Twitter for defending him sort of sometimes when he's not playing well, which hasn't been the case always this season. But for me, his mentality is so strong, his resilience is unbelievable. A dip isn't a dip for Harry Kane because he still contributes towards the team. His goals this season are still high, just generally overall. And yeah, whilst he may not have been at his very highest standards that he's performed at, you know he's going to come back because, like I say, his belief in himself, he's Shearer-like. Shearer was one of those characters in the football team that never lost confidence in himself. Whilst others might be talking about him, whilst others may be saying that is it the end of the road, he's not playing well, is this the season where he's going to fall over the edge? That's not going to happen with Harry Kane. He'll score goals to the day that he finishes playing football. And I'm not surprised that Antonio Conte hasn't turned the job that he's done, and he hasn't got the rest of the players playing well. The system's good, the feeling in the squad's good, the confidence from the Spurs fans is good. I've had a Spurs fan bring me here today, and he's very confident they're going to beat Chelsea, which isn't always the case.
Well, I'm not entirely sure why he's confident, because in the last 31 visits here in the league, Tottenham, they've only won once. They've only beaten one Chelsea manager. Chelsea manager that day?
Was it
Antonio Conte. There's an omen for you. Make sure you join us later. 4:30 kick-off this one.
He's read the stat pack.